Radio, we have Brother Leslie Howard today. How are you?
I'm well, and thank you for having me.
You are an attorney, right?
Yes, I do have a law practice. It's Leslie Howard, Attorney at Law, LLC, and have a general practice. I've been practicing law for a little over 20 years in Maryland, and I do both civil and criminal matters. So basically, I take a boutique approach to my practice. I try to keep things small and intimate, only handle a few clients at a time so that I can give them my undivided professional attention. And that way I've been able to make sure I have a high success rate and also a high satisfaction rate with my clients.
Okay, so how has this pandemic affected that practice and what you do professionally?
Well, the biggest challenge is that right now, because of the coronavirus outbreak, the Maryland courts are shut down except for emergency appeals and juvenile detention matters. So other than that, access to the court has been severely restricted, and the much of the court staff has been asked to work from home and shelter in place like the rest of us.
So no working for you?
Well, no, we still, in fact, we have gone to a virtual office set up several years ago. So we're still able to communicate with clients via the internet, and including virtual office visits if necessary. But truly speaking, we deal with clients through the telephone and email primarily, and that's worked out quite well for us, even during the pandemic.
Okay. So you have a business that is almost kind of shock-proof.
Yes, pretty much, except for being able to go into court, which is where we actually do, litigation on behalf of our clients. And of course, that's created a drastic hardship for our businesses. Most of the cases now are being postponed well into May. And we imagine once the courts do reopen, there'll be a severe backlog of cases. And so it's going to be really hectic in terms of trying to push that backload through the court system.
So it's a lot to think about when it comes to litigation and courts, and what most of us don't think about. But everything is stopped in everyone's lives. The court, wow. So personally, like as a human, how are you feeling?
Well, I think you kind of know, Queen, I'm just coming off a death in my family. So between that instance and I had just come off of a 19-day fast, and then we got, locked down with the coronavirus thing. I'm feeling a little stressed, to say, the less, and a little cabin fever. Try to get out at least, to the backyard and maybe, do some walking around the block. But that's been the biggest downside, is just the lack of being able to get out and about. And of course, when you do go out and about, you got to practice social distancing. So I kind of think the Creator is trying to tell humanity something during this time too. Because we've been out of sync with the planet for quite some time. I don't know if folks have been following, but there've been like a series of earthquakes in the last week and a half. Started out with California, and then we had another earthquake in Utah, and then another one off the coast of South America, and just the other day we had one off of Croatia, and then the day after that there was one in Russia. So it looks like what's ever going on with the planet, in terms of it being out of sync or whatever, it's kind of going around the world, and maybe the planet's trying to tell us something that we
Yeah,
should be listening to.
humanity needs to get back on path. So,
Yeah, yeah,
maybe that's it. But this is something to experience.
yeah, yeah. Everything is strictly from day to day, and unfortunately, we don't always have the best leadership at the top. So there's a lot of misinformation and disinformation. So
Yes, yeah,
double check your sources.
yeah. And at this time, that's where this is most critical. Where leadership is so important, because at this time, people need that. We need, especially where the resources are. The leader is where the resources are. So we need that leader to be specific, has some strategium, just some type of direction. And right now, we're being failed miserable. It's
Yeah,
miserable.
well, it seems like the governors are doing a lot better job than the federal government is doing right now.
That's true.
And,
I think they're being very, very proactive. The Maryland governor, and especially Mr. New York, Mr. Como, he's doing excellent. So we got to do what we got. And I know you're really into politics. So I know you're watching.
yeah, yeah. You have to stay informed even during these times, especially during these times, actually, because, it wouldn't be surprised if they try to declare martial law, and especially during a scenario like this, it'd be easy for Trump, who has dictatorship aspirations, to, try to pull a fast one on the American people.
Mm. We'll be in real trouble. Real trouble. Okay. G?
I'm good. You pretty much answered the one question that I was going to ask, and maybe you might want to say more about it. But I was going to say, like, what did you do today, and how is it different than what you would have done on a day outside of this what we're going through right now?
Well, I've been doing this now for the last couple of days, and that is that I've been setting up virtual capability using Zoom and the Meet apps so that I can conduct in-person interviews with my clients if necessary.
So setting up your technology and getting all that squared away.
Yeah.
Okay.
Because it's normally not an aspect that we, would normally have to rely upon. People either come to the office or we go to them. But now we can't do that. So we've got to have a virtual way of meeting and talking with people if need be. So.
Okay.
So virtual, setting up all your virtual. So we're at the part of the interview where we do our last will and testament. And from your perspective, leave a jewel with the people at this time that we're in this pandemic, and we're all trying to survive and make it to the other side.
It's like the Beatles would say, all we need is love. And this is, the Creator's trying to tell us we need to come together as humanity and help one another. And whether we want to or not, we're being compelled to do so. And so that's what message I would like to leave people, is to try to look out for one another as best we possibly can during these troubling times. Make sure you wash your hands frequently and practice social distancing.
That is it. That is it.
All right. Well, thank you so much, Leslie, for giving us a little bit of your time this afternoon. For everyone listening, thank you for listening in. And if you want to hear more from Black Box Radio and hear more voices in the Rona Report, please go to blackboxradio.com. That's BLAKBOXXRADIO.com. You can also find us on Instagram and Facebook at Black Box Radio.
All right. So it is the Rona Report. It is 3/27/20. Leslie Howard Esquire is with us. Thank you again. Be safe. Take care of yourself, Brother Leslie.
Peace and blessings.
All right, Black Box Radio. We out.